Hey everyone, today we're going to learn how to detect what operating system your learner is using inside of Storyline, and then based on that information, show them different content. And so it just takes some JavaScript code to be able to do, and really all you have to do is copy and paste, and then create a variable inside of Storyline. So it's really not that hard, and then you can adjust your content based on the operating system, which is pretty cool. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, welcome back. My name is Jeff Batt, and if you haven't checked out my website, go ahead and check out my website at learningdojo.ninja. Here you can check out all previous blog posts, including everything on Articulate Storyline 360, how to enhance and go beyond just the basics. You can check out tips and tricks on just course production and audio and Camtasia, as well as augmented reality and XAPI. You can also download templates on Articulate Storyline and also XAPI. And then if you're new, you can check out full courses, everything from A to Z on how to get started with Articulate Storyline 360, Adobe Captivate, XAPI Fundamentals, Articulate Rise, Custom Squirm, and HTML5 video. But today I am continuing this series of being able to enhance and go beyond just the basics of Articulate Storyline. And one of the ways that we can do this is through JavaScript. Now, there are different JavaScript snippets that you can use without having to be a JavaScript developer. So one of these is being able to detect the operating system. Now, you may be wondering, why would I ever want to do that? Well, if you're talking about some type of process or how to find some type of file in somebody's computer, wouldn't it be easier if we can just detect what type of device they're actually using, whether iOS or whether it be Android or whether it be Mac OS or Windows or something like that, and then adjust the images or adjust the content, some variables based on the information that comes back. So that's one of the use cases that I have for the reasons why you'd want to be able to do something like this. So let's go ahead and pull up our example file right here. So I'm going to pull up this Storyline example course, and I'm going to walk you through what I have to begin with, and then I'll show you where you can actually go in and add some of this JavaScript code. I'm going to go into the detect OS on my example. Now, you can set this up however you want. If you want to follow along, all I have is a simple page that's displaying a variable, and it has a button that will detect the device. And then whenever we get that information back from this JavaScript, based on what that device type variable is, we're going to change this background image right here. So this background image has a couple different states in it. So you can see that we have a normal state, which is just kind of neutral. It doesn't really specify. I mean, you can tell that this is a Mac as well, but it could be as easily a PC. Well, let's say we want to have a certain type of file that we want to show on a Mac, a certain type of file that we want to show on PC, and then a certain type of file structure because it's a little bit different on iOS. And so the goal is, having this JavaScript snippet run as soon as we click the button, and then have it change the state. So you can see here that I've already set up that trigger actually, because in this JavaScript, it's gonna give us back some information. It's gonna let us know that it's either Mac OS, Windows, iOS, or it could be Android. I don't have this example right now, but it could also be Android, so keep that in mind. That is already set up. So if it's actually Mac OS, it's going to change the background. If the device type, that variable is Mac OS, it'll change the background to Mac. If that device type is Windows, it's going to change that to the PC state. So the state that we have here, these are the states right there. So Mac, PC, iOS, and that's all we're doing is we're finding the variable type when that's the variable changes. And we are, right now it's actually set to as soon as the variable changes. So I don't even have to click on the button actually. This is going to be as soon as that variable changes itself. However, I am going to trigger that when the button clicks, but I could also trigger that to go detect the JavaScript. I could also do that as soon as the page loads. So if you want that to have it happen automatically, you can do it that way as well. Keep that in mind. But I'm going to add a JavaScript trigger here. And that JavaScript trigger is going to copy this code that's below the video here. So either in the description or on my website, you can go to this video and below you'll see the code that all you have to do is copy and paste. But actually, one thing I did want to mention beforehand is I did create that variable. So you would have to do this on your own too. I created a variable that's a text variable called device type. So this JavaScript is going to look for this variable inside of Storyline. And once it knows what the device type is, it's going to give it back to this variable inside of Storyline, which I'll walk you through that code here. But you do need to set that up and you need to do something with that information once it comes back. All right, so we have this set up. I just wanted to walk you through that in case you wanted to follow along and set it up yourself. You have to create a variable that it's going to store the information. And then based on that variable information, you're going to change some content. So let's go ahead and I'm going to copy this JavaScript code and then we're going to walk through it here. So if I click on add a trigger and I have the button selected, so it automatically will pull up that button on click. So you can see here, detect device is the name of the button. And as soon as it clicks, we're going to execute some JavaScript. So I'm going to go ahead and go down to execute JavaScript right here. I'm going to click on JavaScript right there. And then we're going to copy and paste that code in. Now this is a lot of code. And so it's because it's doing a lot here. So let's go ahead and walk through some of this code just so you know exactly what's going on. So the first thing we're doing, let me get rid of these 3 lines of code there. That won't be on the website once you actually copy and paste it. So keep that in mind. But I'm going to just move that up a little bit. So we are going to be talking to the player. We're creating a variable called player that allows us to then talk to the storyline player. We're going to need to talk to the storyline player later. So I'm just kind of setting this up for now. Now, the next thing we're doing is we're saying, hey, player, we're going to set that variable. So there is this concept inside of JavaScript of setting or getting and setting, where you're getting some information back, but you're also setting the information back to it. So right now we're going to set the variable information of device type. So that variable that we created has to match exactly how you see it here. And it's going to be this device type. What information are we going to update it with? And so right here, you'll have a comma, and then you can see right here, it's actually calling a function. So everything that's highlighted right there, not this last parenthesis there, but everything right there is calling this function down here. So everything down here, essentially what this is doing is it is basically going in and saying, hey, window, navigator, give me the user agent, which the user agent is actually the information about the computer that that's browsers have knowledge to. They don't have knowledge to everything, but they do have knowledge to some things. And so it's just saying, hey, give me all this information. But we want to drill down even a little bit further. We want to get some information into that. So anytime you see like a period and then you see something like user agent data, that's kind of drilling down into that information. And so what we're doing is we're saying, hey, platform is equal to Windows Navigator user agent data, and then we're going to go ahead and access the platform. The platform is the operating system. What operating system are they using? And so that's where it could be something like Macintosh, Mac Intel, Mac PPC, Mac 68K. So any of those, if it comes back, essentially it's going to be the Mac OS platforms. That's what this is doing here. Same thing with Windows. So Windows 32, Windows 64, Windows, Win CE, and then iOS platform, iPhone, iPad, iPod as well. So if any of those come back, essentially what this is doing is we are updating the operating system of it to be Mac OS. So if it's any type of the Mac platforms, we're going to say it's Mac OS. Or if it's any type of the iOS platforms, then we're going to go ahead and say iOS. Or if it comes back as Android, this is what this is doing here, then it's going to be Android. Or if it comes back as Linux, because there aren't different types, when it comes back as platform, it's just Android across the board here because there's not the different types like iPod and iPad and other things like that. And then it comes back as Linux. And so at the end of that, it's kind of detecting and saying, okay, if it's any one of these, then it's going to be Mac. If it's any one of these, it's going to be Windows. If it's any one of these, it's going to be iOS. That's what that code is doing. Again, all you have to do is copy and paste this. And then what it's doing is it's returning back whatever the operating system ends up being. and it will return and replace this code right here with the name of the operating system. A long explanation, but essentially what you're going to get is that device type is now going to have either Mac OS, it's either going to have Windows, or it's going to have iOS, which is exactly what we're looking for here, or Android or Linux. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK here, and I'm going to click OK there. So all you have to know is that it's going to come back as Mac, Windows, Android, or Linux, or something like that. That's all you have to know, and it's going to update that device type variable. Now, to see this, I do have to publish this out. You can't actually preview JavaScript inside of Storyline. It needs to be running inside of a browser. So we do have to publish this out, and I'm publishing just to web, just so I could test this here. So I'm going to go to my desktop here, and I'm going to, as soon as this is done, I'm going to preview it. All right, so it's done. I don't need to zip it out or anything. So let's come over here into the folder, double click on the folder, and all I have to do is double click on story.html. I'm going to navigate to detect device. You can see that the variable is blank, and so it's really not showing me anything at this point. And all I have to do is click on detect device. So as soon as it detects the device, you can see that it updates with Mac OS, and there we go. Well, let's go ahead and actually preview that same thing inside of Windows. And so I'm running Parallels here, which allows me to run both Windows and Mac. And so I'm going to go ahead and preview this in Windows, and let's test the same thing here. Okay, so let's go into detect device type, detect device, and you can see that it's Windows, and now it shows the Windows browser instead of the Mac one. Well, let's go ahead and test one more thing. I'm going to copy this line of code, and if you're on a Mac, you can actually install the iOS simulator, and the iOS simulator allows me to actually preview. And this isn't working for me right now, but the iOS simulator, if you're on a Mac, you can install Xcode, and the iOS simulator allows me to run Safari, and I can go ahead and just copy and paste that code, and it would detect the iPhone. So hopefully this has been useful for you. It allows you to detect what the user's device is, and then based on that device it's going to show different things. Now you do have to have a fallback, which is the reason why, because sometimes browsers may have restrictions or VPNs or other things like that that prevents some JavaScript from being run. And so my fallback is just to show this generic image here. So it's good to have that fallback, but it's also good to have a very specific image depending on the user's device, so you don't have to tell them both. You're reducing the cognitive load, you're reducing the amount of content that you're telling your users. So hopefully that's been helpful for you. I am going to be creating lots more kind of JavaScript snippet helps inside of Storyline. So if you like this, go ahead and go to my YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. It really helps out my channel. Hit the bell icon to get notified of all future videos as they come out. You can also always check out my website at learningdojo.ninja. Check out all my previous blog posts on Articulate Storyline, on Trello's tips and tricks, as well as how to remove breaths, everything learning development that you need to know. You can download free templates as well, and then check out full courses, everything from A to Z on Articulate Storyline 360, Adobe Captivate, XAPI Fundamentals, Articulate Rise, Custom SCORM, HTML5 video, and more. And let me know, what other types of JavaScript snippets are you wanting to do? What are you trying to figure out that I can help you with? Comment down below and let me know what I can help, and I'll put it inside of my backlog so I can get to it at a future time. Thanks everyone. I'll see you next time.